Hi, boys and girls. How are you? Hey, nice to see you. Guess what? I was just reading a book. Well, now that you're here, would you like me to read out loud? The name of the book I was reading is Frog and Toad Are Friends. And I can read this story to you if you want to listen. It's by one of my favorite authors. His name is Arnold Lobel. He wrote this story, and you know what? He even drew the illustrations. The first chapter in the book, Frog and Toad Are Friends, is called Spring. And guess what? It's now spring. It used to be winter, but just a few days ago we changed seasons and now it's spring. So isn't this fun? Here's how the story begins. Frog ran up the path to Toad's house. He knocked on the front door. There was no answer. "Toad, Toad!" shouted Frog. "Wake up! It's spring!" "Blah!" said a voice from inside the house. "Toad, Toad!" cried Frog. "The sun is shining, the snow is melting. Wake up!" "I am not here," said a voice. That's Toad's house. And that's Frog. He's on the porch. Frog walked into the house. It was dark. All the shutters were closed. "Toad, where are you?" called Frog. "Go away," said the voice from a corner of the room. Toad was lying in bed. He had pulled the covers over his head. Frog pushed Toad out of bed. He pushed him out of the house and onto the front porch. Toad blinked in the bright sun. "Help!" said Toad. "I can't see anything." That's Toad in bed. "Don't be silly," said Frog. "What you see is the clear, warm light of April, and it means that we can begin a whole new year together, Toad. Think of it," said Frog. "We will skip through the meadows and we will run through the woods and swim in the river. In the evenings, we will sit right here on this front porch and we will count the stars." "You can count them, Frog," said Toad. "I will be too tired. I am going back to bed." Which one do you think is Frog? And which one do you think is Toad? I think you're right. That's Toad. And that's his friend Frog. Toad went back into the house. He got into the bed and he pulled the covers over his head again. "But Toad," cried Frog, "you will miss all the fun if you go back to bed." "Listen, Frog," said Toad. "How long have I been asleep?" "You have been asleep since November," said Frog. "Well then," said Toad, "a little more sleep will not hurt me. Come back again and wake me up about May. Good night, Frog." "But Toad," said Frog, "I will be lonely until then." Toad did not answer. He had fallen fast asleep. Frog looked at Toad's calendar. It was on the wall. The November page was still on top. Frog tore off the November page. He tore off the December page and the January and the February and the March page. He came to the April page. He tore it off too. Then Frog ran back to Toad's bed. Toad! Toad! Wake up! It's May now. Can it be May so soon? Yes, said Frog. Look at your calendar. Toad looked at the calendar and May was on top. Why, it is May, said Toad, and he climbed out of bed. Then he and Frog ran outside to see the whole world. It really looked like spring. There they go. He was in bed, right? And then he went outside and he opened his eyes wide and he saw flowers and maybe heard birds singing. He saw the snow melting and he was happy to be with his friend and to be awake. Okay, boys and girls, that's the end of the first chapter of our book. And the next chapter we can read another time, okay? If you'd like to come back and listen again, the next story is called The Story. It's true. It really is. It's called The Story, and it's chapter 2 in our book. So please come back and listen, okay? To more Frog and Toad, our friends. See you soon. Okay, bye, and happy, happy spring. Bye, boys and girls.